Just a little more.
And then switch the screen share.
Just see what's in work.
I don't know, it just didn't give anything in the database. Then I was just trying it out here. And it popped up with the starting and
Anybody watch the Red Sox game last
The
night?
actual or the old static?
How did it end?
yeah,
All right.
One of the coolest things.
So-
Can't tell you.
We're already broadcasting. I'm hoping that we'll get some viewers that come in. We have 3 viewers or so. So if you're a viewer, I'm going to switch and put the presentation up on the board in a second. If you have trouble viewing it, just let us know in the Q&A. Hopefully, I don't have anybody managing it today, but hopefully I'll see that in time. If needed, I'll just switch to the sharing of the screen and you won't see me anymore. All right, I see Chandon. Hi, Chandon. Yes, you're in the right place.
When's the last time you sent out a reminder? Was it this morning?
Yeah, I did another invite last night. And
He's the
we have 11 viewers. No, he's the only one who said anything.
Oh.
So if you're there, just put something in the Q&A to let us know that you are currently watching. Hi, Betsy.
So this is for the online groups?
So I'm going to give this a try. Let me try this out. So if you're watching, I'm going to leave it up there for about 30 seconds and just see if you can view it okay. And then I'll switch back and look at the Q&A. And if you tell me that you can't see it, I'll do a screen share.
That presentation mode might have let you split your screen so you can see the comments.
But that's Google and one's the Hangout.
Oh, that presenter view.
That's a Google slide.
Oh, I see. It's not.
Right. All right, so I'm going to switch back. I see one person said they could see it. So I guess I should just go with the fact that you can kind of see me and the screen and keep going. Not sure what's going on with the echo. So I won't be able to see your Q&A during the presentation, but feel free to add the questions and then we'll go through them in the end.
So can one of us monitor the Q&A?
You would have had to sign in on your computer from the account in order to be in there to monitor it.
You want me to get it?
You want to? You have to sign in as mobile CSP. No, it's Google Plus. All right. So, welcome everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Pauline Lake. I'm the teaching consultant for Mobile CSP, and I currently work as the master teacher in Connecticut and for Delaware. I've been on the team since it first started, the whole project, and we're now going into our 4th year, which is great. So we're excited to have all of you be a part of the project this year. We've definitely grown. We have over 200 participants this year teaching the course across the country, which is fantastic.
200 new.
Yes, 200 new. So there's over 200 of you currently in the training, and we just want to make sure that everybody is on the right page and the same page for what to do during the academic year and what to expect. So we're going to go through a slide presentation. Hopefully, we'll answer your questions as I go through. The slides are also linked into the Google Plus Hangout, which you should have received the invite. Everybody here should have gotten that too. And then I'll answer questions at the end. So first and foremost, one requirement that we have, which hopefully is an easy one that everybody has checked off, is you have to teach the course, right? After completing the 4-week PD, you have to go on to teach the full unaltered mobile CSP curriculum, which is now endorsed by the College Board in your school for the 2016-2017 academic year. And then if possible, we would really, really like to see you teach it again in the second year, right? So one thing that I think is a common misconception is that once you complete the 4-week PD in the summer, you're done doing PD. We actually continue the PD, right? And the teaching of the course is the continuation. It's another part to the PD. So even though the 4 weeks of the course are over, you're still going to be learning and going through professional development over the year. And teaching the course is a huge part of that, and you're still learning as you go, especially if it's the first year that you've taught mobile CSP. So in a previous webinar, we talked about IT suggestions and how to get started with the AP audit process. So those of you who are teaching the AP CSP course when it launches this fall should have completed the audit process. But we also included in here, again, our setup and IT funding suggestions. We recommend that you have 1 device for every 2 students because we do pair programming. Even if you're only able to get 4 or 5 devices for a class, it's still good to have some instead of just using the emulator because students like to actually test out their apps and have a physical device, and the emulator is also limited. Obviously, the more devices you can have, the better it will be for the students and their experiences. You'll find that some students also have their own devices. If you're not sure, what might be needed for the course and what you might need to set up in your classrooms, we have the IT checklist document that has a full explanation of everything that you need, and you can talk it over with your IT department and kind of see what do you need to have them allow and not allow. So if you hadn't looked that over previously, that's something you should do and be in contact with your IT department to make sure everything is set up for the start of the school year. And if you were not able to get funding from your school for devices, there are some other funding suggestions there for you, other options to explore if you're still looking for how to get more devices. So I also want to quickly provide some tips and tricks from over the past few years that we've gotten as far as device management, especially if you have a lot of devices that you're handling. With a class of 24 students, you would have, we recommend 12 devices, right? 1 for every 2 students. We recommend that if you're buying them new, especially that you record the serial numbers so you can keep track of which device are yours. You might find that you get a device that students have themselves and you don't want to get things mixed up. You want to count the number of devices before everyone leaves at the end of each class period, just to make sure that you have them each day. Some teachers have put stickers and numbers on the back of their devices and assigned a particular tablet to a group of students or a pair. So you can also definitely use that, and then students know I'm responsible for tablet 6. If anything happens to it, it was me or my partner who would be responsible for any damages or anything that happens. Damages is a whole other realm. We've had accidents happen before, so if you are buying the devices new, see if they have a warranty. In most cases, they come with a 1-year warranty, and ASUS, if you're dealing with the ASUS devices, ASUS in the past has been really, really helpful in helping and providing support, especially if you make it clear to them that the devices were bought for education. They've been very, very supportive in the past. Some teachers have decided to purchase cases for easy spotting. So if you buy, for example, an orange case off of Amazon, I think they're about $7 to $10, depending on what model device you have. If you buy an orange case, you can easily spot in the classroom an orange case, and you know that that's your tablet. So cases are good for easy identification, but also protection as well. Another suggestion is to sign into the device with a generic email account rather than having the students sign into the tablets themselves, so they don't have to worry about their data being on there, their email, or any contacts information that might be saved over. So I, for example, have 10 generic student accounts that I had made, and those have stuck with me for the last 6 years. I've been using them. I might go somewhere and they need an account temporarily. I can use it. So it's suggested you just create a generic Gmail account maybe for your class and assign it to all the tablets. It helps with management as far as what's on the device and who can sign in. Charge your devices. Charge them, charge them, charge them. It's a common thing that we forget to do, especially teachers who may have a lot of students in classes. Some teachers, I didn't put it up here, but some teachers have bought laptop carts or charging carts where they can charge them, and the students know the routine at the end of the class is to go and put the tablets on the charger so they're charged for the next class. Those will probably be helpful, especially if you have multiple sections, right? If you have just one section, it's a little bit easier to manage. But if you have 3 sections and all using the same devices, they can drain pretty quickly. But you want to try to keep them with a good charge and making sure that they're getting charged properly. And you also want to make sure that you're occasionally doing the system updates that are becoming available. I think even here in Connecticut, we found that there were some issues that were going on, and they were easily resolved by just making sure that you got the latest version, because they may have updated it, figured out what the bug was, and fixed it. So keep performing those system updates when you can. Get students, possibly to help with those if you are pressed for time and not able to do that. So getting into the start of the school year, you'll be working with, if you're online, you'll be working with Cassandra Cassie Beckworth, and if you're a hybrid participant participating in the hybrid PD, you'll be working and communicating with your master teachers and facilitators and myself. We also have an evaluation consultant who you may see and exchange emails with occasionally, Lawrence Baldwin. So he's looking at the beginning of the school year to administer a demographic survey for the teacher. So a quick survey that will ask you things like how many sections are you teaching now, how many students are in the section, and information generally like how many students have some type of disability in your class, etc. So he'll be sending out something like that. So just look in your emails and just hopefully we can get that from you by the end of September, right? It wouldn't take much of your time, but it'll be helpful for us to see, especially with all the new teachers, and really get some good data about how many students are actually taking the course.
NSF wants to know this.
Yes. Oh, I think they came, but the NSF would want to know. They definitely want to know this number, and I'm pretty sure the College Board would like to know too how many students are actually taking the course compared to how many end up taking the exam. So getting more into the larger stuff, your student research data that would be required for the year. It looks like a lot. I know this was listed on your principal's approval form, and your principal signed off on it when you signed up for the PD and to teach the course. It looks like a lot, but I promise that it's really just recording things that you have already done. So in your course, you should be administering an exam. You should be doing the performance tasks with your students. In the end, we really wanted to see the scores that they've gotten. So pretty much the scores that you're going to end up putting in your grade book, we want to see those, right? So the way that we're going to do this is have you complete a student information sheet, which I'll get to a little bit more in a moment. But inside the student information sheet, you would record the consent forms. So whether or not you receive the consent form from a student, we'll have a place, we'll send you the consent form, a blank one, and you'll have a place that you can upload the ones that have been returned and signed. A little tip for that, teachers in the past have generally assigned it as a homework assignment, so that way it's taken home and turned in right away. But as long as it's turned in at any point throughout the school year, it will be helpful for us so we can use the students' data. The pre-survey would be almost similar to the one that you took if you took the PD with us. The students should complete it no later than September 16th, which is about the second week of September, or prior to starting Unit 2. So you go through Unit 1, which is set up, getting them started in the course, getting them setting up their portfolios and emails and whatever else you need as far as management. So we want you to have them complete the survey before they actually start Unit 2, which is the first heavy content lesson. So whichever comes first, you should be having them complete the survey before they get into the content. Providing copies of all completed grading rubrics. So you should be using the College Board rubrics that you've been working with in the PD so far. Once you grade the students' work using that rubric, right, you're allowed to do that. You just have to let the students know that whatever grade you give them has no relation to what they might possibly get with the AP if they submit it for the AP CSP. We want to see the completed rubrics, right? So once you fill them out, which is something you have to do, we want to see those scores that you're giving to them and have you record them. We provide a midterm and a final exam. So many of you are finishing up the PD now, and you're going to be taking the final exam tomorrow or today, depending on where you're located. So you'll get to see what the final exam looks like. The midterm is pretty similar. They follow the format of the AP CSP, the multiple choice questions with single select, multiple select, and we help you administer them. So I'm going to get to that as well as how that process would work for you. So we administer them all electronically, and we help you grade them. So we grade the closed-ended questions, and you grade the open-ended questions. So we try to take away that idea that you have to create, from scratch your own assessments. We give it to you, and it's sort of like our thank you for giving us the data.
Isn't there just one open question?
On just the final. The midterm. So more information, I'm going to provide more information about how to administer those exams in a moment. We also ask for the final course grades that the student received overall, so just recording that's something you have to give the student anyway, just recording that for us. And the post-survey should be completed by the time they finish the course, and by June of 2017. So all of these things should be recorded into your gradebook and spreadsheet. So what do I mean by that? Well, in Google Drive, there are 2 folders that we have. One's for hybrid, I'll manage that one, and one's for online. So you'll have a folder that will be shared with you. So the only ones so far that I was able to make this morning were Connecticut, you should have received your folder, Delaware should have received your folder, and I got to New Jersey. The others they're on their way, they haven't been done yet, but you will be receiving an email notification saying that your folder was created. That's your Google Drive folder where all of your information, all of your data should go. So there's an example gradebook here that if you're looking at the slides, you could open it, or if I shared yours already, you could open it. What it contains is a folder for the consent forms, which is where you would upload the signed consent forms. You can scan them and upload them from your students. You put copies of the rubrics or record the scores. We'll talk about that, right? We want the that you've been using for the scores from them. And then you have your student information spreadsheet, which has some explanation in there about what we're asking for and how to fill it in. So you list all of your students' names, their Google sites, and other information, right? So everybody in the end, before the middle of August or so, will have a folder that's shared with them. So in order to test it out, so again, Connecticut, Delaware, New Jersey, your folders were already created, so you're like my guinea pigs right now to make sure this works. In order to test it out, when your folder is shared with you, so for the others, again, you'll get it around the beginning of August or before then. To test out that it's working, that you have access, I'm asking that you upload your academic year or school calendar. So go and find that school calendar and upload it into your folder for me. And if you can do that, that means you have all the permissions set correctly, you've accessed it, and you can officially put information and data into your folder. So I think that's a good test, and it also helps us kind of know, we need to know what your school schedule is like. We can go and look into your folder. So find your calendar, upload it, and if you have trouble accessing your gradebook, if you're a hybrid cohort member, participant, you can contact me. Again, only 3 sites have their folder shared with them so far. If you're an online participant, you should contact CAPSI if you have trouble. Okay. So I think Cassie may have mentioned this yesterday, but to the online participants, if you have already completed the scheduling form, this information will be added to your gradebook so you don't have to worry about it. But you should be checking to make sure that you can access your folder. Again, in your gradebook, you will find, or your folder, your gradebook folder, you'll find a student information spreadsheet no later than September 16th or prior to that. For me, for the hybrids, say it again, I'm going to make sure it's done within, by August 1st or so. You should make sure that you have the following inside of your spreadsheet. So the student information, first name, last name, email address, these columns are already there and created for you. It's a template that you can fill in. The students' emails that they have, their Gmails, their Google site portfolio URLs, and you can record whether or not they've taken and completed the pre and the post survey when you've done it. And you can record their grades. There's a spot for each grade to be recorded.
Since the difference between email and Gmail. Is there a difference between email address and the first?
No, I do just a copy. Yeah. So when you look at your student information spreadsheet, you'll see the columns that have to be recorded there. Okay.
If you want the Gmail.
The Gmail. So if you really what we'd like to do for your student information sheet is use that as your central place for keeping track of the data from the CSP. And often the teachers actually use it to keep track of their classes, right? So they have all of the students' names listed. They have all of the emails in their portfolio. So if you have to do a portfolio check, they can go to the teacher will go to their spreadsheet, open the student's portfolio, and start grading it that way. So it's really for us to get the research data, but it also helps with management as well and keeping track of URLs and email addresses if they have them. In some cases, the teachers will decide if the students have a school email address and they created a separate Gmail. Sometimes they will add both, so that way the teacher gives us our information, but also has the contact information for their student if they need to contact them. So in some cases, you can add another column that has a school email address if you would like it, right? So administering exams and surveys. Again, you have 2 surveys and 2 exams that we help you administer. After you provide your student names and emails in the spreadsheet, Cassie or myself will provide you with tokens. So there is another tab in your spreadsheet that says tokens. These tokens are access codes. So everything is done electronically. So the way we do this is we provide you with a link to the exam or the pre-survey or the post-survey. You give that link to the exam or the survey to your students. When they get to it, they can't immediately get in and see what's there. It's going to prompt them for an access code. We're going to provide you with individual access codes in that spreadsheet for your students. And you give them each their individual access code and they type it in so they can enter the exam. So for example, let's say teacher A decides on day 25, they're going to take an exam or a survey. They would look in their spreadsheet under the tokens tab. They would look for the URL. They would give that to their students or post it somewhere that they could all get to it for that day that they selected for them to take the exam. And then they would hand out or send via email or whatever works best for you. They would somehow give the individual access code or the token to each of their students. And their students would go, the teacher would say, okay, let's go, let's start. Each student on their computer would pull up the exam and they would put in the access code and get started. There will also be some more instructions that we can give to you about how to administer the exams, such as how long it might take and some suggestions. You should also provide them with the reference sheet that's provided in the course and exam description booklet for the AP exam, so they get familiar with that. They can use that on the exams. There are some other information we can include for you to help you administer the exams when you get them. But they are all done electronically. I think one step that's missing here is when you're ready, when all of your students have completed the exam, let's say 20 students who take the exam, when they're all done, you should send an email. If you're a hybrid teacher, you should send an email to me. If you're an online teacher, send the email to Cassie and just say, hey, I'm ready for the scoring. We score the closed-ended questions for you. So within about 24 hours or so, worst case 48, we have the scores run and we send them back to you for review and adjusting if you need to. So just let us know after everybody has taken the exam.
Are we gonna have access to the exam questions early? I know that I need to hand them to administration so they can prove that it's an appropriate exam before I'm allowed to this.
So if there's, we don't want to hand out like paper copies of the exam, okay? These exams, we don't want them to get out, especially since you have so many students taking them this year. What will be given to you would be for you, as a teacher, you get your own access code, right? So just like the students are gonna have an access code, you are provided with an access code to make sure you can get in and review the exam. So you'll be able to go in and then you could share that access code with an administrator or something like that. And we're trying to discourage sending out PDFs of the exam so they don't get leaked out and students get to see the exam before they actually take it. So along with your students' tokens, you'll also get a token that you can access it as well. So some assessments and grading, again, that we're looking for the performance tasks using the College Board rubrics. You can convert them or adjust the grades as needed for your school's grading system. We provide the midterm and the final, and we grade the closed-ended questions, so just let us know when you're done. And then you grade the open-ended questions. So we send the final back to you when you finish the grading. All done electronically with Google spreadsheets. So if you're someone who isn't quite familiar with Google spreadsheets, that's something that if you need help, just let Cassie and myself know so we can help you. There are also for assessments and grading quizzes that are available. So you may be seeing at the end of each student unit, there's a wrap-up section or lesson that's telling you check with your instructor about a quiz that you might be taking. So on the teacher side, at the end of Unit 1 in the wrap-up, there's a quizzes repository. These quizzes are not required. They were not, they're not Mobile CSP official. They are just quizzes that were submitted by the community, right? So we appreciate any resources that you, the teachers, are coming up with, and if you want to supply and share something for others to use, let me know. You can email me and we can get it added to that shared folder. But just know that there are some sample quizzes there that you could use as a starting point or use as is if you really like them as is. But there's no need really to recreate the wheel. Other things that use those assessments might be a creative project. For example, the I Have a Dream project is a big one. Teachers generally use that as the first app assessment that they do. We have rubrics available that were prior to the College Board rubrics that you could use for checking, does it work? How does the interface look? We have those old rubrics available if you would like a starting point and don't want to start from scratch. So online course usage, your students should be going into the student course. You should direct them to the student course in Google Course Builder. Have them answer the reflection questions for each lesson on their portfolio, and complete the interactive exercises with this now called self-check exercises in each lesson. Those self-check exercises and reflection questions are really what they can use for review for the exams and projects that they're doing. There is no official review sheet for the exams. I forgot to mention that. You're welcome to create your own. I think I have some that were shared with me that I just need to share out when I get a chance. But generally, we just direct them to using their portfolios as a study guide and completing the interactive questions. They can do that over and over again. So more advanced students may try lessons ahead of time. We don't discourage that. It's set up so that way a student can move ahead. There might be something that a student is trying to figure out for a project, and you can say, okay, hey, we're actually going to do that in lesson 7.5, right? And you could direct them to go if they're really self-motivated and they want to go ahead. We don't want to discourage them from doing that. I think a good advantage of that is you could actually end up with some helpers in your classroom. If there's someone who's went ahead and has a good solid understanding, you could ask them to help their classmates and help you help explain things to others. So don't discourage them from going ahead. Maybe you don't want them to go ahead too far, but if they're keeping up with the lessons and they're doing the reflection questions and they're getting the required work done, it generally is not an issue. It actually is beneficial for you, the teacher, to let them go ahead. And do not share the teacher site URL with students. We know that the teacher site, you can search and Google it and you can find it. One way that we do moderate it is you have to, in order to get access to solutions and things like that, you have to join the forum. And we monitor the forum access and that Google group access so that you may know that you had to put in a URL that said, I am a teacher, and show where your profile was. So we monitor that, but it's just easier if you don't tell the students about the teacher side. That's your side for preparation, lesson plans, ideas, activities, and send the students to the student side where their lessons are. So also during the school year, you're not alone. You still get lots of support. I think that's one thing that Mobile CSP does really, really well is lots of academic year support. You have your online groups or hybrid cohorts to reach out to, your master teachers, facilitators, online mentors. We're all here to help and support you throughout the academic year. So we'll be hosting some online meetings throughout the academic year. For the hybrids, you should be participating in online meetings or hangouts with your master teacher and facilitator to be determined by a schedule that works well for you guys. In Connecticut, we've typically done bi-weekly, and usually teachers have shows and Monday nights in the evenings to meet up. But that's going to be based on your site and your group. And we also encourage you to try to meet up again during the school year. And the Computer Science Teachers Association local chapters that you have, maybe you have one in your state. Those are good meetings to meet up at and see each other face to face again and get some more support. For the online groups, you're expected to participate in at least one monthly meeting with your mentor. And the Mobile CSP online team also hosts optional large group webinars for general information sharing. So that information is there as well. And then to everyone, there'll be occasional hangouts or online meetings hosted by the entire team to address maybe any updates or announcements that we have. We're also planning to have some lessons that we may cover, during a live webinar that we didn't cover in depth in the 4-week PD. So we'll occasionally have the team hosting a larger hangout for everyone to keep everybody up to date and provide more instruction. This one is for the online only participants. So if you're a hybrid participant, this is not for you. It's for the online only participants. I believe Cassie may have covered this yesterday with their hangout. The online participants are required to do a video task. Again, not required for the hybrid participants. You should take a look at this slide and make sure you have an understanding if you're an online participant about what the video tasks consist of. You have some video clips that you should do, 2 video reflections, and responding to other teachers' videos as well. And then sharing them with the group in the online team, so Cassie, Jen, Sherry, and they have provided more information there. Their information is their names and contact information is available as well. Again, not for the hybrid PD participants. Video task is for the online participants only. We also did academic here encourage you to go through and use the Google group and the forums. You may be in the middle of class and something doesn't work right? It happens all the time. What can you do? Who can you call? So Mobile CSP, we have lots of forums that you can use to go on and ask questions. There's always someone there, whether it's another teacher, whether it's a team member, there's always somebody there to respond. And I think that pretty much every message, especially if it's an urgent emergency or something that's going on or trouble, really does get a response within an hour or so from somebody, right? So the hybrid cohorts, you'll be added to the mobile CSP Google group. So that's a Google group that was officially started 3 years ago with just the Connecticut teachers. So we're going to add the hybrid participants to that, so that way you can interact. So that Google group will be available to you. That group also gives you access to mobile CSP materials in Google Drive as well. So the materials that we have, like the lessons, the Google Docs for the lessons, quizzes, things like that, those are all available in Google Drive as a folder, and it gives you access to that. So you'll have access to Google Drive, and you can also get to them just by going to the course site. For the online group, you have the Mobile CSP Online 2016 Google group to communicate, send questions. You can send an email directly to this address, and it will send a message out to everybody. It's true for all of these. And then the one that everybody is a part of, past, present, future, we have this teaching mobile CSP Google group, which also has access to all of the Google Drive materials. So that's the one that's linked to the teacher site. So in Unit 1 of the teacher site, you should join that forum if you haven't already. That's the one that requires you to put up your profile of your staff profile at your school, so we can verify that you are in fact a teacher. And you can get access to the solutions and documents and things that are there. You can also send messages out to everybody in the group if things are, maybe not going well, or even if they are, they're going great. We want to hear great news and share the stories with everybody. So we encourage you to use these throughout the year. They're there for help. The PD does not end tomorrow, right? It keeps going. We're still here as support to help you throughout the academic year. There are challenges or stories that you want to share. Then we have a teacher exit survey. So at the end of the year, your students, remember, are taking a post survey, but we want you to complete an end of course survey for us. So telling us what lessons did you end up using, how did things go, giving us some feedback about how much you liked or disliked the groups that we had and the forums that we had. Were they helpful? What could be improved? Things like that. So there'll be an end of course survey that you'll be expected to participate at the end of the year. That will be sent out in June. And then my last question here is for you guys. Or the last slide is a question for you guys. Have you completed everything by June 16th, 2017? That's the magic day. If you're still in school by then and you need an extension, we can work something out, but that is our deadline. And have you actively participated in the meetings throughout the year? If you can say yes, and you've completed your spreadsheet, congratulations.
A bonus.
Oh, you can't see the animation. Did I not do it right? Oh, it did it? It just went away? Okay. So, yes, we offer a $1,000 stipend to those currently in the PD who go on to successfully make it through the year, and they, actively participating and submitting all of their data by June 16th. You can receive your stipend. So that is it for my presentation. I don't know, Ralph, were you handling questions? Were you able to get in?
I don't see any questions. But we can ask questions.
I see some here.
Oh, mine is wrong.
Is that Liz then? Okay. So it says, if mobile CSP is grading the multiple choice portion of the final exams, what is the timeline for us getting the scores back to put them in a grade book at the end of the year? So I said
48 hours.
max 24 hours, generally within 24 hours. If you let us know immediately, like say your class ends at 12:50, everybody finished, you send just a quick email saying, hey, I'm ready for the scores by, the end of the day that day. Again, the sooner you let us know, the sooner you'll get the scores. You can't expect to send it at 8 a.m. in the morning and then expect to say, I need it by 10 a.m., right? That's just not realistic for us. But we do generally get it back within 24 hours, 48 hours max. And we provide you with a sample answer key and instructions for finishing and completing the grading, which again is all done electronically in a spreadsheet. Carl?
How do you want us to handle add drops? We provide you the student information in the spreadsheet. If somebody drops, do we just take it out, no
No,
further notice?
So maybe that column was missing from the template. That is usually something we go in and we add in, like study IDs. So I know some people are worried about having student names being put into the spreadsheets. Again, that's for us to identify, so who sees that? You and me, if you're a hybrid participant, or the teacher and Cassie, if you're an online participant. That's just for us to kind of correlate and distinguish who took what and who did what, and we give everybody a study ID. So in the end, we anonymize everything. So what's missing from there is those columns where we'll assign everyone a study ID. So you'll also, if it's not there, there'll be a way for you to indicate in a column called dropped. If the student has dropped, you just put yes. But don't delete them from everything, because then if you're a hybrid participant, you're going to make me go crazy, okay? Because at the end of the year, I'm going to be looking and saying, there's information about this student, but I don't see that this student exists, and I'll start pulling my hair out. So just indicate, and if there's a drop or some way indicate that the student has left the course, but don't delete them altogether. Beth?
Is there any reason that the midterm can't be modified to remove open-ended questions?
Oh, they didn't even know that it wasn't completely like that. They didn't need to know that. So I'm assuming you guys probably heard Ralph. So the midterm currently has closed-ended and open-ended questions. It's not completely aligned with the AP CSP format. The final exam is, because that's expected. You could use it as a review, give it in the first week of May, so they take that before they take the AP CSP exam. It would be good review and preparation. Ralph wants us to go ahead and edit this so that way it's all multiple choice for the midterm. I think our original thing was we were leaving it because it allows, in the middle of the year, more feedback for the teacher rather than just simply all answering multiple choice questions. If they're open-ended, the students can answer and as a teacher, assess a little bit more about their explanation rather than forcing them to choose from a list. So Ralph wants us to get everything cut down to all closed-ended. So that's something that would happen, but that means I need more time to get it done. That means you can't request a copy of the midterm tomorrow and expect it, because it needs to be modified. And I want to take some questions from the online people. So Tony, last one for right now.
What about if we have what I call a refusenick, a student who doesn't want to participate in the research part? Is that an issue?
That's okay.
So that's okay. So on their consent form, when they sign the consent form, they should say, I don't want to participate. But in most cases, I think in the last 3 years, we've maybe had 5 students from the hybrid groups that have said, I don't want to participate, and that was more so maybe their parent didn't necessarily understand what was involved in this. So if you stress, that it's going to, you get a letter with the consent form and everything, and stress that it's going to be anonymized in the end. But you can indicate if they really are just completely against it, which will happen in some rare cases. You indicate in your spreadsheet in the consent column that they said no, okay, not participating.
Here's a question. Will the hybrid Google groups continue to exist?
Yes, I'm not going to get rid of them. You're just going to be added to. I'm not going to get rid of the hybrid Google groups. I'm not going to get rid of the hybrid Google groups. Those will remain. You should be able to select which question it was too. I don't know. So I won't get rid of the hybrid Google groups. They will remain, so you can use those. That's a community that you built, a smaller community, like a smaller class. You might feel that you trust them a little bit more than trusting everybody else with sharing information or reflecting and sharing your feelings with them, right? As we go through the year, you'll definitely feel some different ways as you go through the process. But we'll add all of you to the larger groups. The smaller groups will remain. You'll have a choice. Do you want to email the smaller group and just talk to your cohort or group, or do you want to talk to everybody? Todd?
Yeah. So I just figured that out. Tom was a new question.
So here's one. Are there any additional incentives for other students to participate, our students to participate other than the AP CSP score? Not really sure, like additional incentive. I mean, they could take the AP exam at the end and get AP credit for college. And we're teaching them lots of things. We're teaching them how to create mobile apps. That's usually a huge thing if you explain to them what it is they're actually going to be making. I think, on the first day, if you're explaining they're actually going to make socially useful mobile apps and be able to show something tangible to their friends and family, I think that really gets them. We also talked about how there's interest among the students to want to put something on the Google Play Store, right? So if you say, maybe you ask them, do you want to put something up on the Play Store and put your product out there? That's part of it that you can go through with them. There's instructions out there for how to do that. Yeah. Okay. Huh?
AP exam online or on paper?
Online. Oh, no. On paper.
Paper. AP exam is paper and pencil. Check through your AP course and description booklet, the purple booklet. Go to the page on assessment, it starts in the 70s. Go to that page, read about the exam, read about the performance task, make sure you're reading up on that material so you have an understanding. It does say in there that it's paper and pencil exam, and it gives you more information about the exam itself. It's also in unit, help me, Ralph, 8. We put it in unit 8 in the course. There's the sample exam questions from the purple booklet are inside our course's interactive exercises, and there's information in there about the exam, how many questions, the format, things like that the student can see in unit 8. But for you, for background as a teacher, you should read the booklet.
All these questions, there's new questions in there. Let's see.
I'm trying to get rid of it, so if you can hit.
Okay.
Question about consent? Nice and loud.
So is there a, and I'm sorry, I haven't looked at the form, but is there a place where students can sort of look at exactly what the study is about, what that data is being used for, what the research is that they're participating in?
When you have the consent form, so is there a place for students to go and get information about what they're participating in? When you have the consent form, it comes with a letter. When we send it out, it will come with a letter that describes the project, and it will come with a consent form that describes what data they would be giving. They should take the letter home, read it over with their parent or guardian if they're under the age of 18, and make sure they know. They're also going to be relying on you as a teacher when you give it to them to say, this is the course, this is what we're going to be doing. You're helping us, you're helping this team and you're helping the nation by giving your information, your scores, and how you're doing and doing the surveys. You're helping develop this course that other students are going to be taking. So it's up to you kind of explaining the background of mobile CSP. You can show them the mobile-csp.org website so they can see what's going on and the effort that's there. And they also they get a letter that we give to them. So here's a question we talked about from Robin. Does it matter how we grade homeworks, quizzes, etc.? The weights. We had this conversation in Connecticut the other day with some current teachers. The weights are completely decided by you. We don't put any guidelines, or we don't tell you requirements for how to do the weighting. I think the teachers overall, if you send a message out to the teaching Google group, you'll see that the current teachers will let you know their thoughts, saying that they rely on the reflection questions and the portfolios, the projects. And kind of coming up with your own sense of the percentages, but we don't have any strict requirement about how to weight categories. Do they have to use? Do you have to use Google Sites? Go ahead, Ralph. Yes or no?
So you can share an URL.
So there should be some way, for any reason we needed to show an example of a portfolio, to have access to the URL that you have. So Google Sites are our standard way of saying this is how they can create a portfolio that they can share with others outside of their school. They can share it with their family, their friends. I know some teachers use classroom management systems, Blackboard, Google Classroom. But my understanding was that some of those are blocked off to be just within the network of the schools. There's nothing really saying
I don't think it's absolutely.
no, you can't use these other sites, but we're saying we think it's a good idea to use Google Sites. Again, what we're asking for is the first year that you teach the course itself as is, and then the second year and beyond, you can alter it to fit your classroom.
One advantage of using Google Sites is the student is learning how to make a website. In Blackboard, you're just pasting things into forms, right? You're not learning to build your own website. So another reason possible for using it.
Pauline, I have a quick question.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look because I'm also trying to help the other viewers.
Yeah.
1 second.
One stipend.
Stipends. So I had told the hybrid leaders already. Cassie posted the question saying the online teachers know when their stipends are coming. The hybrid leader should have announced to everyone that's in the hybrid groups already. But that again, it's not going to happen. You'll receive it in August. There'll be some variance whether you get it at the beginning of August or the end of August, but it would be in August unless there's absolutely just something wrong with an address that you gave or something like that. No payments, payments aren't being handled or anything like that. I'm not focusing on that until next week because we have to finish out the week, we have to finish out the PD, and then I have to wait for the hybrid leaders to submit their scores and things like that to let the participation to let us know if you qualified for the stipend. Beryl from Massachusetts asked, is the College Board AP exam online and on paper? So that's the one we said it's on paper. I don't know what that is, Cassie.
It's probably just a link to this presentation.
You did that one already, right?
Yep.
You did this one already. So echoes usually happen if you have the video open in 2 different screens, or you hit the start and then opened it. Sorry about that if you had that problem when I was talking.
No, I think.
Yeah, that's it, the response. All right, so any other questions about academic year requirements? If you're online, post them in the Q&A. It's pretty much cleaned up now so I can see. And then we had one from Connecticut. Sterling?
Yeah, so you say to teach the course how it is. Can we add things, or is it like just exactly how it is? So what I mean by add things is I wanted to have kids bring in an article a month on technology. And just
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like adding in articles or things like in the news, I think that's things that will help them see the impact, right? Impact is one of the big ideas that you're focusing on. It will help them in preparing for the Explore task. So I've used it, Ralph has used it in the course for doing current events that are happening. Those are nice. So what we want for the unaltered, right, is using the lessons as is, how they're up there. And we want you to get through the full curriculum. So if you're adding in, oh, I'm going to do this other project and teach something else, you're not going to get through all of our curriculum to help our data, right? And to help see. This is really important this year that we get through everything because you guys are pioneers and you're part of the first AP CSP course that's happening, the official one. So we want to get through and we want to see, is the mobile CSP course working and its effectiveness? And the only way we can really do that is if everybody is using the same curriculum and getting through the material. Those who have seen, we have a jam-packed schedule, right, as far as, the units that we have to get through and the timing and the performance tasks and everything. So we don't want you to add extra projects. The second year, If you choose to do mobile CSP, you can alter it if you would like and add things in there and change it for your classroom as needed. What is the window for testing using the midterm and the final for CSP if a student is absent on the day of the test of the exam? So the token that you get, the token that the student gets will be available to them for one use, meaning they can go through, complete the exam, and hit submit once. If they never receive the token, let's say Johnny is absent and he's not in class the day that you give the exam, and you give the token out and he's not there to give his token too. He never used the token, so it's still available in there and ready for him to use it whenever he comes in and sees you and asks you for the token to access the exam. So you have complete control over when to give the exam and when they take it, but one use and one use only. So if a student accidentally submits, that's something where you gotta contact us. Contact me if you're a hybrid, online if you're Cassie, Cassie if you're online, opposite way. So if they accidentally submit for whatever reason, you can let us know and we can give them another token and have them start it over again, but one use only.
How do we handle extended time students that may take part of the exam and then they get additional time to continue it at another time?
Oh, yeah. So how can you extend it in case any additional time? So you'll get more information about the exams, including how to administer. So one of those pieces of information, since it's online and electronic, there is a resume later button, right? So if you are a hybrid teacher and you're doing the final and the PD today, tomorrow, your hybrid facilitator and math teacher should be giving you the instructions when you take the exam. You literally are taking, even though online, you're taking the same exam that your students would take. So you're going to get to see what the interface looks like and that you can resume later. You can use the resume later function. They can come back and they can enter it again. It will be there. It will save your responses for them. So you can, accommodate students who need longer time or if they don't finish in the time. Also in that email, and you'll see from taking it as well, the exam takes about 45 minutes. Yep, that was just answered, Robin. Good question. Eric, you had a question? Okay.
It's just a multiple choice exam, and it's just 45 minutes, right?
The final is 45 minutes with one open-ended at the end.
And midterm is something similar.
It's similar, yes.
Could be similar.
The timing is similar, even with
But we're
the,
only talking about 45 minutes, multiple choice.
yes. Okay, so, any last questions? Otherwise, I'll conclude the webinar and the recording will be posted. If you have questions, hybrid teachers contact me and online teachers contact Cassie. Thank you, Cassie, for being there.
Yeah.